And welcome back to Delving with Debug. So in today's video, I'm going to go in and talk about some of the flag setups. I'm working on putting together a well-descripted listing of the important flags to look for, but I'm going to give you an idea of the kinds of things that we see here and what they are specifically that you want to be looking out for. That's wrong, yes. There it is. Okay. So I have flags turned on for first player and not for second player. Turn off the gauge so it's easier to see. Okay. So, as I've briefly touched on in previous episodes, AF, to my action states, it's the function of your computer, so of your character. So stand, he's standing, stand forward is walk, back quick, forward quick. Our dash is run, as you can see, stand forward dash, quick, which is interesting because quick is the dash and dash is the run for whatever reason. Then of course you have stand jump, float being you are currently airborne, float jump fall because you're going down, things like that. If you're going in a direction, so back, forward, instead of just float, those are kind of your layouts. Most of them are fairly straightforward, but the most important ones to know are going to be, let me see if I can find the right ones with key tomorrow. Okay, sit, as you can see, that AF flag, that is a high crush. Now what's interesting is this is his 2B, so frame 1, 2, 3, 4. It is a frame 4 high crush. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's 4 to 11. It crushes highs. So it's very good for beating out most jab attacks. That is a very important one. Let me see if I can find his other important one. Okay, so float, because you're airborne, small, actually low crushes. So if someone does a low attack and you have small, one of the examples of this is Jirobu's down B, where it has small while he's standing there. So lows, like sweeps, will actually go through his legs. He'll be completely immune to any low attacks. That's what small is. The other key one... Okay, I'm getting up. Fuse, as you can see. And fuse, this is wake up kick. So fuse is immune to highs and mids, meaning you can only be hit by lows with this. And that's kind of what that setup is. As you can see, it's until the hitbox appears. That's the upper body intangibility. We have that on wake up kick. We have that on things like his down X until he starts lowering his hands. Now he's just immune to highs. Hits hands on the ground, still immune to highs. Now he's hit by anything. And that's the general concept of those. Those are the important ones. Actually, let's see. And defense, as you can see here, AF, that means auto guard. That's a back B. So that's a block absorbing. Then you have, with those, there's two different types, and I'm going to see if I can get one of them to, this might, yeah, be def, as you see, which is beast defense, and that only appears if you're essentially being chipped out by a move. You're taking chip damage, as you can sort of see. Let's see. Yeah. See how his health bar is going down a little bit there? Boop. You can see it decreasing ever so slightly. And that's B def, or beast defense. There's also S def, which Kidomaru doesn't have any S def, but that's special defense. So for things like Itachi's down X counter, the two Hinata's down X counters, they have S def, so they're going to block special attacks as well. Let me see if I can make this happen. Throw break. Okay. So under AF you see can't act as the second one there. and that is that you can't do anything. You're in a throw break, and that's the point it puts you in. And there's S-step, actually. So breaking a throw on either side has you defend against normal moves and against supers. So you are essentially immune. That's the thing. And you also see under DF T escape, which is throw escape. And that turns on, you can see here, it turns on immediately as you're being thrown, and it lasts for the first 3 frames. So that's frame 4, I can't break anymore. And that's how that works right there. That's not an AF flag, but it came up. A lot of the other AF flags are just your in particular positions. So stand damage, float, down O, which is the type of fall, and down type of fall. Yuki is a standard type of lift. Then we have down instead of Yuki, which is the spinning lift. Actually, I don't know what Kiri is. That's interesting. Let me see here. Oh, nope, wrong button. There's Koro. Float damage. Koro is only for the attack, but way too early. I'm seeing if I can get a tech roll. There. Yukimi for tech roll. Get up because you're standing up. It's fairly straightforward. And I've got a list of them all around. The other important one to know are there's T-fail for throw. There's throw, as you can see, and there is attack. And those are important because when one of those is on there, you are stuck in that animation and you can't interrupt it. As you can see, there's stand and then stand attack. And even with stand attack, I can be what looks like in a neutral position, but I'm still stuck in an animation, so I can't move. Like trying to jump right now. And when it goes to stand, he jumps. So that's there. Okay. NF flags. PF, we cannot affect. They are automatically assigned by the game. That's the thought there. So NF, there's a couple of useful ones here. Let's see. Yeah, so T damage and T down, as you can see there, are immune to damage and immune to throws in that order. There's also one other that shows up for some subs, which is DISP or disappear, and it just makes you disappear. The ridiculous thing about flags in this game, so if you look under EF, down a little bit lower, you'll see BK out. That is also a disappear. So it depends on which one the programmers decided should be in there. Some have both, some have one, some have the other. It is just kind of silly like that. Let's see, what else is there that's important? There's a few others that we can affect. In particular, body touch. It's me being thrown. So body touch, I can't sub because he has a hold of me. And then ring out is actually in the same kind of capacity. In this case, this is the adjusted where I can't sub. And you see under DF, B drive or beast drive, that's when you get hit by a super. And until that point, you can't sub. Now I can. And so that's something I can turn on and off. But that's the concept there. The other one you can see under NF right now, auto dur. And what that is you notice how Kidomaru keeps looking at his opponent as they sidestep. Auto dur is for a very short part of the initial startup on almost every move, as you can see, which redirects you to your opponent. And that's why if they sidestep after you start, you won't hit them. But if you start after they sidestep, you'll hit them. That's where timing of sidesteps and attacks comes in very important. For like delays, see, I waited and I hit him. Those are going to be your big ones there. Again, big full list. Okay, KF. This is kind of a meat and potatoes kind of thing here. KF are your standard attack flags. And there's a whole bunch of them. I have a whole list, but I'll go through some of the key ones. Okay. Okay, yeah. So we start at the beginning here. B drive. B drive is beast drive. It's what creates the darkness and the picture behind Kidomaru, the darkness in the screen now. It locks out subs. That's the whole thing. It's mostly on supers. They can't tech. They can't sub. It changes the lighting. That's what it does. Next is POW S. There's 3 of these. W, M, and S for weak, medium, strong. That will affect the block stun and the hit stun when combined with the DMG value under the attack heading. And that's also going to change the sound effect when it hits. If the move launches, it doesn't affect its hit stun because you're in the air. But it does affect the block stun and the sound effect. The next one, middle. So you have low, middle, high for lows, mids, highs. Important for crushing. It's a middle. It can't be crushed by anything except fuse or having T damage on. So you essentially can't avoid it. In this case, I could actually do... Oh, I can't buffer it. Hold on. Too early. Yep, way too early. There. So, the 2-player Kidomaru dodged the super due to the fact that he was in the fuse state and therefore crushed the middle. The next one there, you see punch and throw. So there's punch and kick, which really don't do anything in this game. I'm a little inattentive, so I tried to make all the punches and all the kicks, but they don't mean anything. It's just something there. Throw, however, will lock out the opponent's ability to sub, and that's what's interesting there. So, for example, you can see his spear tongue here, BBBA, has throw on it, and that means that the opponent cannot substitute, cannot tech roll, or anything else. That is a hard knockdown. That's how that works. Okay, get this again. Next point, special. There's another flag that's being skipped here that I don't think I used on any move. It's called Uichi. It hits later on OTG. Also is called Pursuit sometimes, and that allows you to hit the first couple active frames of attack roll or something like that with an attack. I experimented with it a bit. I didn't use it. This game doesn't use it, but it's there. Special is the other one, and special builds no chakra on hit. So, as I'm sure many of you are already aware, you can see Kidomaru's chakra bar on one player hasn't gained anything from that hit, even though it's a 10 damage hit, and the entire super doesn't gain him chakra either. And that's the basis of the special. After that, you see no guard, which, I wonder what that does. It's unblockable. Unless you have S-Def, the AF flag that we went over, or your Ukon, you cannot block this attack. This is on things like Choji's 5A, Jirobu's 8A. It's on things like Jiraiya's BBAA, for example. It's on most supers. No guard. It does what it says it is. Okay. Changing moves now. So at this point, we have gone to 5A. You can see shot and reach L are there. Shot, of course, means it's a projectile. Reach L, to my understanding, because it's on some physical attacks as well, the hitbox is different than the hurtbox. I'm not entirely sure how it works, but that's kind of my understanding. T down means the move is grabbable while active. So as you can see here, he is grabbable until he begins firing. So I'm doing an attack, but I can be thrown. That's what KF T down is, not to be confused with NF T down, which makes you immune to throws. Complicated as all get out. So this right here, the large bounce that player 2 is in, used to have NF T down on it, so it couldn't be thrown. But that's been removed from all bounces, flying screens, things like that, which allows you to now air throw people out of that. Very complicated, I know. So, going back to that, you can see here the fourth one, Spatata, which is the large bounce. That right there. It delivers that large bounce. All bouncing moves and flying screen moves, so that all have the same hit type. They all send the opponent flying depending upon their angle. It just depends on what they do when they land. So Spatata is the big bounce. Tata, or T-A-T-A, which we'll see shortly, is the little bounce. And Butt, or Batowski, which we just saw with the spiderweb, is the just splat landing, the flat landing. And then their angles. So this has a very low angle, so he bounces close to Kidomaru, while this has a slightly higher angle, so he gets hit away more. I don't think... Oh yeah, Kido does have... So here's Butt again. You see it launched him further over. An example with Tata being used for the whole flying screen thing is Lee's 8BA, because it'll hit them flying screen into the wall and they'll float just like a normal flying screen, but then they'll bounce when they hit the ground. And that's because it's a Tata with a higher angle, so it flies. Okay, let me get back to where I was, so I get distracted. Okay. No, not there. There, okay. Break, as you can see, the fourth one. Break means it will interact with all other flags to move the guard. In this case, your key one is down, which is the spinning knockback, as you can see. So this will lift them on their guard. If you have stagger or a bounce or something like that, it'll push them along the ground. Versus Yuki and down, which will launch them up. Things like that. It affects how their guard is hit. The other interesting piece is if I just have normal attacks like these with break on it, their strength will matter on how far the opponent gets pushed away. Let's see here. What's next? Combo, which you can see just kind of shows up and attacks. Not entirely sure what it does. I've turned it on and off, and I haven't really found out what it specifically does, so I can't entirely speak to that one. Down, we just went over. Spinning launch. Can't be done twice in a row, which I don't think Kidomaru has the ability to do it twice in a row anyway, because he always has an attack in between. But things like Tamari Jump B, for example, is a down. So the first one will hit spinning, the second one will hit just a normal, much lower. The third one will hit spinning, things like that. Okay. Yoro, as you can see right there, is stagger. Stagger, as I've explained before, has 37 to 50 frames of hit stun depending on the opponent's mash. So, there is... Let me see here. Yeah. So there's no mash, and there's full mash. I was just spinning around on directions here, mashing buttons. And so you can see the overall difference. It's 37 to 50 frames. Every single stagger infinite in this game. So like Shikamaru, BBBA, and then cancel your stance with Y, BBB. That second first jab will hit on frame 44, if I remember correctly. So if you mash even a little bit, you'll be able to block. It's a mix-up, it's pressure, it's interesting, but it's not guaranteed. And that was a very key point with all the stagger stuff. Okay, you've seen it before, I'm going to do it again. There's Butt in your fourth one, Batowski, which is flying screen into a flat landing. Okay, Yuki, which is just your launch. Your three launches are down, which you've already seen, the big spinning one, which is the highest. Then Yuki, which is your standard launch, which is the middle. And Koro, which is there, which is essentially the sweep. It cannot be Y canceled. Koro cannot. However, Yuki and down both can. It's not about the height, it's about the type of hit. But those are your three launch type attacks. There's another one here called Furry, F-U-R-I, or Fury, or I'm not sure how to pronounce it, which isn't used in this game. It's essentially hitting someone and then they turn around. It's used in Bloody Roar and things of that nature, but it's completely unused in this game. It's just there if you're ever digging through weird pieces of code. Okay, so Tata small bounce. Let me see. No, that's Patata. That's large bounce. I don't think he has one that I can think of off the top of my head, but the small bounce. So you have Spatata, which is the big one, and then Tata, which is the half-size one. Oh yeah, actually, very similar to that right there. That's something completely different because it's a different landing style, but that similar height on a bounce. Let's see what else. Okay, we got Beast, which you see here. Now listen when this hits. You hear the slash, the cutting. That's what Beast does. And it'll give the slash hit effect, the look, and it will also do chip damage, as you already saw when I was displaying B-Def. So that's what that is. Freeze, you can see on these first two hits. My understanding of freeze, you notice how the other Kidomaru isn't moving backward. It makes them not move from being hit. This is used on multi-hitting attacks a lot with things like Kido. See, it's not on this because he wants to be moved up on each uppercut. But it is used on some of Kidomaru's multi-hit moves, on Kidomaru's back B, things like that. There's another one here, Cancel, which is not used. And Cancel allows you to cancel the move when you press Y into anything. It's just an instant cancel. It's actually combined with other flags to make Hyuga cancels, which I can bring up one of the Hyugas and show you after this. Then, of course, there's Attack Can, which you see here, which, can I super cancel? Yeah, it's Attack Cancel. It's a super cancel. That's what Attack Can is. Okay, the RF flags. These are going to get a little more in depth, so I'm actually going to bring up someone who has a lot of them, which is our boy Neji. Neji, okay. Okay. Okay, so in RF, there. Okay, under RF, you see color, which is because when he pokes them, they turn red. That's what that means. And the color is different for others, like Tsunade's elbows, I think, is yellow. Soccer Sub is meter drain. I actually have not figured out the next one. F-Trev, that's right. It removes graphic effects. G-Cancel and G-OK are part of your Hyuga cancels, your feints. So you can see G-Cancel is here. I've pressed Y. So G-Cancel now shows up. And he goes back into a cancel. But if I don't press it, it will say G-Cancel OK, which is the exact frame that the cancel would happen on. And it just goes. So in this case, I did it. And now has G-Cancel OK show up because that's the frame that it checks it on. And that means that I can go, so OK, I pressed Y, it cancels. But if I go one past G-Cancel OK, oh, it still does, that's right. What makes it so you can't do it is if a hitbox has appeared. So it kind of has a 4-frame window here. It'll buffer into when OK shows up, but you can do it until the hitbox appears. I forgot about that. Okay. So that's the G cancels. Yeah, under RF, GA attack or guard attack. It's pretty much, hey, we're not going to disable your hitbox because block maybe around. It's kind of one of those weird things where if you are actively blocking something, you cannot have a hitbox active. G-attack, G-attack, whatever, allows that to get around it. Intrude, I've seen a few other places, but I'm not entirely sure. I haven't really run it down. Let's see here. Kawarimi? I wonder what that is. Substitution. Kawarimi no Jutsu. And then there's one more here. Oh yeah, that I wanted to show. There it is. Under RF. Haziki, which is knocks projectiles away. All guard means that you guard all around you. Front, back, sides, everything. And no back means you will not slide back if you get hit by a strong attack. So for example, Naruto's back B makes you slide. So if I have this going on with no back, you notice Neji doesn't go anywhere. He doesn't slide backward. If you played in vanilla a lot, you would have seen this on a few moves. But in this case, it's not there. It just knocks him flying. Kaitan! And then let's show off the ZQ right here. Doing this one with a keyboard and a controller. There, Haziki. That's what it does. The ting ting and knocking the projectiles away. That's what that does. Okay. Now we're gonna go into some of the specialty type hits, and these are where it gets very tricky because some happen for some characters and that's about it. But I'm going to go to the one with the most unique that I know of. Okay. Okay, so there are 2 feet trapped, which are Mato and where's my other one? And Mato 2. So Mato is an air and a ground. Shino's down A, for example, has Mato because you can throw them and then catch them with down A. But Mato 2 is ground only, and that's Kidomaru's down X and his 5X and things like that because they only trap on the ground, otherwise they knock down. The next one is Hiki, which is the swamp hole, Jiraiya's puddle. It's the type of hit that then makes them go down and pop up. Hiki 2 is Shikamaru's down X, so they fall onto the ground and then they appear above. Let me see here. Oh, yeah. Super Armor does exactly what we think it does. It gives you Super Armor. And this Super Armor is different from... Ukon and Karasu's inherent armor, because those will be beat by launching attacks. This one will not. So, as you can see, I just beasted right through it. And the reason why Naruto's projectile beat it at the very beginning is because it was gone. It leaves when Jirobu goes into the air. Okay. There's also another one here which isn't used anymore. Attack all can follow up with any attack. So I can actually set this to specific 1 or 2 frames, and then you can do anything you want. So you could do like B and then up A, and it would be B hits, now you can up A. Talking traditional fighters here. Toji, which you're not going to see because it's on a projectile, but you can see it on the being hit by, D2F right there for Naruto because it's being hit by Toji, which is this exact state, the one where it slowly knocks them down and drains all their chakra. Let me see here. There's a specific way. Let me see if I can actually do this. If it hits the very last active frame, I'm trying to remember exactly what the combo was for it. Yeah, I can't get it right now. But if you hit the very last active frame, it doesn't create the rocks, and you can see how it goes. It's a very small, fall to the ground while it drains all their meter and gives it to you. Oh yeah. So, drain all of Naruto's meter, give it to Jirobu. That's what Toji does. Okay, the next one, Hasa, is that. The squish between two rocks and sink down. Then there's other ones like Shave, which is the sound effect that Kasame does when he's draining your meter with his sword. There's Sleep and Wing, which are for Kabuto's down X. Sleep does sleep, and Wing makes the little feathers. Then there's actually one they didn't even name. It's a Null. It's the Grounded Only Crumple, which is OTK's down X, for example. And then, it starts getting into some of the more crazy and obscure kinds of stuff. But I've been building as much depth as I can. That's going to be a lot of the key ones you're going to see here. And then the other interesting thing with that, of course, is things like Jirobu's forward B here. You can see POW M, so it's a medium power. Middle, it's a middle hit. Punch, okay, it's a punch. And Tata, meaning it's a small bounce, which I can actually show you now. The hitbox has appeared. You see it's only on his elbow. Now the hitbox appears everywhere. And throw has also been added, which means frames 2 to the end are untechable. And that's interesting because it allows you to hit this late or space it. Let me see if I can space it really well. He steps really far forward. Okay, there. Missed the first frame. Now it's an untechable bounce. And that's Tata right there. But the reason why it's not on the first frame is so you can't just do this for days. But the untechable bounce will reset your ability to sub. But this right here, for example, allows Jirobu to get an untechable knockdown. So using the flags, using the hitbox locator, it shows me that he only has the elbow hitbox on his first frame and it's techable, but on the second frame and later it's untechable and he has one on his hand. So it allows you to delve and learn more about the specifics of the moves.